Third part of the day is friendship. Uh, what's happening in Lebanon right now is real, and there are no embassies in the country. All of them are emptied out, which means whoever doesn't have a visa somewhere is stuck. On top of all of that, right now, with whatever is escalating in the war and the politics behind it, there's a high chance it might actually start coming back to us. And it's funny because like nobody from Le Resistance against our neighbors, our southern neighbors, has stood and said anything in Lebanon, which is funny because it shows how all of them are connected and they basically everything is a fucking game. And literally what they do is they just play it and we are the fans. It's as best as I can explain it. But so because of that, a person that I recently got to know a bit is leaving. And there's a frustration in her eye, other than she doesn't want to change. There's something about that space over there where she's going. She's going to Eastern Europe that she doesn't like. On top of all of that, man, she really just kind of like has opened up a lot. Me and her have like opened up a lot about ourselves over the past couple of months. I don't know how to explain it, but it's really like a platonic thing. I'm not really interested, and I don't think she's interested in anything other than the fact that it's kind of like surreal what's going on. So over the past couple of weeks, it's been more a personal engagement, and it's been coming back to the whole like no, the place is not the same. Like no, yeah, if you're just coming to work, and if you get the chance to hang out and actually like take a break, a proper break, where you're completely detached from work, it's fascinating, right? And I think like that's what people look forward to when they go to work or when they make those group friends and shit like this. So we found a way, and we discussed philosophy, we discussed theology, we discuss stereotypes, opinions, we discuss how society operates and the dynamics behind it. We discuss life and decisions. It's just like random stuff that we talk about. But over the past 3, 4 days, it's been very change is coming, and whatever became normal over the past couple of months, 4 months, 3 months, is no longer something that's gonna be happening. And there's kind of like a need for it, like a need for you to be able to express yourself, a need for you to be able to kind of like push yourself up. And I've been thinking about it, and it goes through my head because like energy is always transferred, right? So if I'm in a good mood, I kind of like transfer some of the energy to others, but like depends on how further away they are, they probably will take some of my energy. And at one point, energy starts becoming like it's no longer transferred as easily. It starts looking for meaning. It starts looking for a stable place to kind of like to create its own. Because if your energy is down here and it's just like excited, 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 when it settles, it has to settle a bit higher. And that is when like questions start popping. And they're not personal questions. They're just like, what will happen after this phase is done? And I'm assuming that's how it's like the honeymoon phase exists at work. The honeymoon phase exists with friends. The honeymoon phase exists with relationships. The honeymoon phase exists with kids. The honeymoon phase exists with actual vacations. Like every vacation has like a week where it's still the honeymoon phase, and then after that you're like, ah, too much new stuff. I kind of have to like create some form of stability. Well, almost with anything, like you have to kind of like find that stability, especially when you're excited or when something new occurs to your life. And the thing about this is like it's a sequence because like if you're not able to find that stability, and then you kind of like shift to something else that's new, how stable are you? And between what's going on in Lebanon, that nothing could get stable anymore. Nothing. Like I'm still without electricity, and it's been like over an hour, and I'm supposed to have 24-hour electricity, right? Even though I'm only getting 2.5 amps, but like in the 2.5 amps of 24-hour electricity. Although it's been an hour since I've had it, and it's fine. I'm used to sleeping in the darkness here and in Africa, so it's perfectly fine. But like you get my drift. There's no stability. And with that, man, it got me thinking of energy and all forms of energy. And naturally, because it's something that's on my mind, and before it starts bothering me, what do I do as I express it? I explain it and I let it out. And as I was discussing energy, I was discussing how energy is basically generated and how basically friction, which is basically an interaction with something, kind of like brings that energy to start coming out. And then right now that I'm saying this, it reminds me of like a video by Richard Feynman. I was like, love that dude. I love that dude. Everything about that dude is just fucking beautiful. And he was like a brilliant physicist that created the Feynman diagrams that explain how atoms kind of like move and work and like how they gain energy and then they dissipate it and they keep like reflecting on each other and all kinds of stuff. But anyways, so at first like there's like two neutral points. And the friction is what creates energy. So whatever I have that's neutral and somebody else has that's neutral is going to interact. And the energy is either going to be harmoniously going up or it's going to like repel or it's going to just engulf the other or something like this. And again, like depending on where we are or what style of energy we have, we can literally see like I'm more like the open kind of energy where it's like anything goes. And I try my best to kind of like maintain my composure with that while other people are more planned energy, like this is what I'm gonna do this hour, which means when this hour comes, I'll have the energy exactly for it. And so like the different colors of energy, maybe different vibrations of energy. Anyway you look at it, what I'm trying to describe is how an interaction creates that like whole enthusiasm or that whole depression or sadness or like anger, whatever it is, engagement. So here's an engagement, and we are actually trying to basically have a conversation, and the engagement kind of builds up uh, as we actually improve on how we understand each other, how we send our message to each other. A lot of things happen. Like I don't know if I mentioned it on a video previously. Like when you're having conversations with people, sometimes you feel like you said something that might have offended them or might have came the wrong way, and the only way you think of that is because you're like, I don't want that person to give me a certain kind of way, and so it's either because you're insecure or you care about the other person. So if they're cool enough for you to want them to actually respect you or to have respect in you when you're just talking to them, then you kind of like start watching yourself more clearly, and that's how you self-actualize. If you're talking to people you don't give a crap about, or you're doing something you don't give a crap about, you don't have that focus. You don't have that like, you don't look for that feedback loop where you go like, how did I do this? I think that's why most of the times like relationships fail because they don't engage within that like parameter. And it's funny because like most of the time when two people break up, they each start doing things separately that are like very much in tune with them and creating themselves. Whether it's working out, whether it's taking like random classes, leveling up, learning, expanding on their career. Why couldn't they have done that when they were in a relationship? When they became alone, they had nobody else to give them feedback but themselves, so they had to accept it and they had to start doing new things or trying new things. It's funny this way. But this energy that is kind of created at one point starts kind of like, okay, where is it going? And I'm really just talking about the energy. I'm not talking about the relationship. I'm not talking about the engagement. I'm literally just talking about the energy. Because there has to be like some form of like stable comfort space, a spot where all of us could be like, no, we're cool. You're, even if I'm not necessarily 100% today, I can still hang out with you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a deep conversation. It could just be like any kind of like engagement, as long as like we understand we established a certain like coolness. And that's something I've been trying to establish, especially with the people, with some people around me. And each one, like naturally, every individual has their own like level or layering or whatever they're comfortable with or whatever uncomfortable with when it comes to them. I've been trying to establish that, and over the past couple of weeks, I've been noticing I've been a bit too open, relaxed about it. Kind of like feeling that I need to pull myself back in, but that's not a good thing to do, pulling yourself back in. I need to kind of like understand how the energy that I have right now, that kind of like I need to stabilize it in a way where I can engage with these people in a different way. Normally, how do I do that? Is I switch environments, and basically, when I do that, I self-actualize with the new environment by reflecting on the old one. But I can't keep doing that for a long for forever because I have to find a better way to learn how to like engage and adapt. And that's the energy that I'm talking about right now. You build that momentum, you build that energy, you build that engagement with yourself and with the environment. And suddenly you kind of like you cross a certain threshold where you cross your own comfort zone. And when you do that, you feel like you're in a certain like I want to say like I don't want to call it the unknown, but I want to say in a vacuum that kind of like is sucking you, is pulling you because you have gone outside of what you're it's become a volatile territory where your energy is kind of like becoming spastic. And it's not the environment itself. The environment invoked it, but the environment actually allowed you to kind of like stabilize the previous energies that you had, and now you're kind of like reaching different states or different like spaces where your energy kind of like needs to find its balance. So it's the up and it's the down. I feel today is kind of like a down in that energy cycle. And I'm trying to establish how to kind of like balance it sooner than to actually have a longer down period or just a longer volatile period. And I feel the best way you could do that is by actually like the only way you can do that is by observing. And the only way you can observe is by kind of detaching. So instead of pulling myself back, what I can do is I can stick to where I am right now and watch my energy levels instead of watching my environment. And then from there, kind of like assess the behavior that I've been like through, that my energy has been expressing itself through, and maybe and take a different look, take a different outlook from a different point of view. Fuck man, I'm being so like cliche right now or cringe. But at the very least, I'm no longer looking at the environment right now. I'm looking at my own energy in response to the environment, which means the environment right now has exposed a lot more for me and allowed me to see a lot more in it for my energy to actually be able to kind of expand in this way. And which is me leveling up, or at the very least, I have to like uh, grab a hold of this level up in order for me to find that stability in it. Because once I accept where I am right now, or at the very least, the level of energy that I have right now toward this environment or environments in general, then I could like spend more time around it instead of just jumping up and like trying to see where it goes, and it will bring me further back down. And spending more time in it will create that balance. Yeah, energy, dude. Thank you for listening.